Yeah. MD, JPB, it's only right, baby.
Yeah, why you mad? I got a bad bro. Name hot in these streets, no Tabasco. But I'm so stuck, that's a fact, yo. And if you think I'm frontin', you can run it back, yo. Go on, run it back. You know that I run it. Everything you wanna do, I already done it. And I got your little boo telling me she love me. I got this down, damn, it's gonna be a long night.
Hello guys, what is up? It is me, Prince of This, and I'm back here with another video. And before we continue on, I would like to just say 3 words. I am sorry. I was supposed to post a while back, but I didn't. But the reason for that is very simple. I'm an idiot. So I used my mic, I connected it to my phone, but for some reason, even though I noticed that my voice was lower than usual when I was using the mic, I kept recording. And then when I noticed it, and compared it to me not using the mic and just using my voice and recorded it, yeah, it actually sounded louder and you guys could actually hear me. Meaning that if I used the last video, you guys wouldn't be able to hear jack shit. And my voice would be so low that you would all be mad at me and like yelling at me in the comments. So it's a good thing I recognized my mistake and went back, but I'm sorry I didn't post last time. So I'm gonna do it now. I can't believe I had to re-record 1 hour of video content, but this is worth it because it's honestly kind of my fault. I have to redeem myself. I do have a sense of pride for this, so yeah. Let's go. Let's get into the 9K special. And again, sorry for being so late. Now, last time we left off, Izuku had arrived at Gran Torino's house and started fighting with him. Before that, of course, he did win the festival, gaining first place. Long story short, it was a long battle because I made the last part basically take up mostly of, the festival. Sorry about that. But he won. And after he got home, Izuku was told by Inko that she wanted to be a hero. So he trained her, as well as Kirishima and Uraraka, who came to visit with Aizawa. Also, Izuku got news of Tensei's demise and was given a temporary hero license to take care of him. Also, he was massively pissed about what he heard. Now we go back to Izuku attacking Gran Torino, who then retaliates with blinding speed. Izuku and him lock eyes as Gran Torino tries to kick him, but he easily blocks and catches his attack with one hand. So, why are you acting like a weak old man? Asks Izuku. He would then release Gran Torino, who falls back down, laughing, saying, most people wouldn't attack an old man. Well, most people aren't me, says Izuku. Gran Torino would then think that this kid noticed his facade pretty fast and he's quite intuitive, and according to the information he received about Izuku, this kid might be the key to solving everything. He would then say, kid, I know about your power, your real power. I know it's not just super strength. I know it's not just super speed. That's why I wanted to test you. If you wanted to really be a hero, you're gonna have to make hard decisions and recognize when someone is trying to fool you. You catch on fast. Izuku would then say, well, before I came here, I researched a lot about you, your habits, your attitude. It's all in my archive. Archive? Is that another one of your quirks? Asked Gran Torino. Izuku would then nod as Gran Torino would be impressed and be amazed that he has a quirk like that, because he basically just holds a lot and a multitude of information in his brain. And then he would say that they're going out, and since he already, took out his suit to attack Gran Torino, they might as well spar, but not in his house because Izuku will destroy it with one punch. Then they would go outside and start sparring, and Izuku was going to give him all the power he's got and fight him straight on. Whenever Gran Torino would attack him, he would find himself being parred or getting hit, even if he avoids an attack. This honestly tires him out really fast, and they take a little break. During the break, Gran Torino would ask him how he keeps getting invisible hits on him, and Izuku would show him. Keep your eyes on my hands. As he says this, he would move his hand forward until all of a sudden it starts to disappear, and out comes Izuku's hand from his side as it pinches his cheek. This is what I used during the sports festival. I named it Warp. It's a portal that I can control however I want. I can make a bunch more, says Izuku. Gran Torino is as shocked and says, this means that basically no one can ever avoid you? No one can avoid your punches, your attacks, nothing. This is incredible. Have you thought of creating other quirks? Izuku would then tell him that there is one that he's been thinking of, and as he says this, he would close his eyes, and when he opens them up, they shine green. Then he would make a fist, and it would spark with green electricity, and he would say, this is electrokinesis. I can control electrical currents, and things like that, but on a way wider scale. I can even do something like this. He then raises his arm and it sparks with electricity, and this electricity grows until it takes the shape of an axe. This lightning axe is now giving off an incredible amount of jolts, and Gran Torino is once again impressed. Izuku then deactivates the axe, and in an instant, he is behind Gran Torino while leaving a trail of lightning behind him. He taps Gran Torino and then scares him as he asks, "Did you just move faster than you did in the festival?" Izuku would then say, "Yep, if I imbue the lightning in my body and cells, they supercharge me and give me superhuman speed, and more speed equals more power." Gran Torino and Izuku would then talk more and figure out how to use these powers more effectively. So Gran Torino would spar with Izuku until he was tired, and this time like he was out. And by the time the two came back to his apartment, it was night, so Izuku actually carried him all the way back because he was tired, and it'd be rude to just, leave an old man like that. I mean, he's Gran Torino, and Gran Torino is tough, but that's just rude if you do that. Anyway, once he came back, he laid him down on the couch, and he sits cross-legged to do something. "Alright, let's see what you're up to." Izuku would then widen his eyes and they turn bright turquoise, and using his mapping quirk, he expanded his consciousness far enough to cover all of Japan. "Come on, Ida, where are you?" Essentially, he's like a spirit flying through Japan trying to look at everything he can, but like he's seeing everything at the same time. It's kind of trippy for him. So he searches every nook and cranny until he finds Hosu's city and finds that Ida is in it. And as soon as he sees this, he smiles and retracts his consciousness. His eyes then return back to normal and he breathes out. "Wow, that gives a huge headache. Can't have that." He then instantly fixes the quirk and removes the drawbacks, and like I said, he doesn't care no more. Unleashing the power, Then he would go to sleep and the next day comes. Gran Torino would wake up and sees that Izuku has cleaned up his house a bit, and he also hears a sizzling noise. He's not doing what I think he's doing, right? He would then go to the kitchen and see Izuku making scrambled eggs, and there were other things laid out on his table like bacon, pancakes, hash browns, you name it, bruh. "Hey sir, I got bored, so I decided to cook. I hope you don't mind. It's kind of an acquired habit from my mom," says Izuku. He would then smile as Gran Torino sighs, saying that, well, if he made this, they might as well just dig in, so he should hurry up and finish so they can eat together. Izuku would quickly finish making the eggs, and the two would eat together. After they finished, Gran Torino would then tell him that they need to get some groceries, so they go out to the store. And while heading to the store, however, Izuku was stopped and asked for autographs by some of his new fans from the whole sports festival incident. And Gran Torino would laugh at Izuku's nervousness during these moments because, like I said, Izuku's a bit of an introvert, but when it comes to fighting, that's when he goes all out. But I just added like a little quirk, like a little quirky thing. Right? But when they enter the store, it was even worse for Gran Torino because he barely had time to grab anything because they just kept getting crowded and crowded. In the end, they did get what they came for, but they barely escaped the crowd that was like hunting for them. And when they get back to Gran Torino's, they would instantly work more on Izuku's quirk after they, put some stuff in the fridge. And using biohack, yes, I'm calling it biohack, it just makes sense. I'm sorry. It just makes sense. Biohack. That's Izuku's quirk now, officially. So using biohack, Izuku would change his electrokinesis quirk to be more precise, so it would only hurt people he wants it to, and not go haywire. Now time skip to the next day as the two would be getting on the train to Hosu. This made Izuku happy as he was going to suggest they head there anyway, and on the way to the destination, Izuku would keep his mapping quirk active. That way they could protect the train, and pretty soon it would be close to night, and Izuku would still be on the train because Hosu is pretty far. When all of a sudden, Izuku would feel something coming towards them. "Everyone take cover." As he yelled this, people would do as he says, and a hero comes crashing through the train. "Hey kid, how'd you know?" asked Gran Torino. Izuku would then say that he would explain later, and he would run to the injured hero while saying that Anomu was the one who caused this, and the people who heeded Izuku's warning would then turn around to see a creature poking his head through the broken part of the train. They were scared and terrified, but this is when Gran Torino would come in and just kick the Nomu out while trying to chase it. He would then say, "Hey kid, take care of things here and then come meet me." He would then jump out of the train and chase the Nomu. Meanwhile, Izuku would fix the broken train with the quirk he just created. Then he would heal the injured hero and yell, "Is there anyone else who's hurt?" They would all say nobody was hurt, and this is when the train conductor would enter the car Izuku was in after he stopped the bullet train. Izuku would then explain what's going on and then tell them to evacuate because it wouldn't be good to stay cooped up in a group and in a small little area like this. As he says this, the hero who he just healed would wake up and assess the situation as he decides to take care of things. "Thank you, sir," says Izuku. He would then activate his electrokinesis and start running through the city like the Flash. Yes, it's like that. So he would scour the city in 5 seconds flat, and he would be shocked at what he saw. "I need to take care of this." As he said this, he would be running on a building and then he would jump while falling towards where Gran Torino was. The city was in ruins and under attack by the Nomus, obviously, but in the middle of all this chaos, heroes came out and started helping, but this is when something weird would happen. The Nomus who they were fighting would be struck by what looked like lightning bolts. They would all look up to see where the lightning was coming from, and they would see a teenager who was doing all this. "This kid sure knows how to make an entrance," says Gran Torino. By this point, this is when a Nomu would be close to hitting him, but it would be also struck by lightning, and right now all the struck Nomus have a thread of lightning attached to them, coming specifically from their brain, and it keeps them paralyzed and shocked. And of course, the threads are connected to Izuku, who would then yell, "Lightning chain, judgment!" All of a sudden, the Nomus would receive a huge amount of volts, and it would enter their brains and their bodies as they would explode from the inside. The heroes seeing this would be amazed, but the Nomus wouldn't stop attacking, so they had no time to wonder how the kid did this. But they would be amazed, like, "Yo, that was a teenager? Bro, what am I doing with my life?" Anyway, Endeavor would then just arrive on the scene and help out because he was also attracted by the guy who destroyed all the creatures, so he wanted to see what happened, but then he realized, "Oh, it's that kid again. I thought he had a quirk similar to All Might. What the hell?" Izuku would then land back down, instantly running to Gran Torino as he helps him up. "Good job, kid. And the train passengers?" "Already taken care of," said Izuku. As he says this, him and Gran Torino would be covered by shade, and he would say, "Oh, it's you again." He would then turn around to see the number 2 hero that everyone was cheering on, as he would ask, "Why did you hide your power before, kid?" Of course, Endeavor would be asking this, and Gran Torino would then say, "Well, apparently he wanted to keep a lowish profile, but now he's just tired of hiding his true strength, I guess." As this was going down, we see Stain about to kill the hero native when Ida intervenes. "You did it, right? You hurt my brother? You're the hero killer, Stain?" "Sweet moves. You kind of remind me of somebody, but I can't put my finger on it." "You son of a bitch, you don't even remember him, do you?" He would then rush at Stain with eyes full of anger, but he gets bested and stabbed in the arm. "See, this is why I hate you heroes. You're all just wannabes." He would then lick Ida's blood off of his sword, and all of a sudden, Ida can no longer move. "You won't get away with this." Stain would then ignore his words and go for the final blow, but he would be slapped so hard in the face that he gets sent flying into a wall and cracks it. "Ida, what the hell do you think you're doing?" yells Izuku. Ida would recognize his voice and say, "Midoriya, is that you? What are you doing here?" Saving your life," says Izuku. He would then kneel down to heal his arm, getting rid of the cuts, and while also getting rid of Stain's quirk effect. Sorry, I don't know why I stumbled there. Ida would no longer feel numb and would start to slowly move and get up, and he also feels no pain now. And as he would check his body, he would look to see Izuku also healing native, and he would ask, "Midoriya, you have a healing quirk?" Izuku would look back at him. "Yeah, I guess you could call it that, but forget about that for a second. Why did you come here by yourself? What's wrong with you?" Just as he would ask this, Stain himself gets up and out of the wall and is pretty pissed. "Who the hell just hit me? I swear I'll kill you." He would then start emitting this huge amount of pressure and bloodlust that would make Ida fall to his knees. "What the hell is this guy?" thinks Ida. And he would then look to see Izuku is actually completely fine. This dude is not affected at all. Stain would then say, "Oh, so it was you. You're that kid from the sports festival, right? No wonder all your opponents were beaten so badly. That is one strong arm you got." "Are you gonna skip this and get to fighting, or you wanna stall?" asked Izuku. As he would say this, Ida would object, saying that it was his responsibility and that he had to do this, him and him alone. Izuku would get mad hearing how irrational he's being and would scold him, saying that due to his anger, Tensei could have lost him. And then he would say, "Fine, if you want to beat Stain, I understand, but next time, let me know. Let Todoroki know. Let anyone know. Let your friends know. He would then touch Ida by the shoulder saying, I will give you more power. But I set a condition on it. If you act like you just did before, you'll lose it. As Ida would hear this, he would then stand filled completely with energy and his engines just felt brand new. Come on, let's finish this. As he says this, the ground will spark with electricity and it almost hits Stain, who just barely manages to dodge before getting shocked. But just as he was in mid-air avoiding the attack, Ida would instantly appear behind him and Stain would say, what the? He would then get kicked straight in his ribs and cough up a lot of blood, and Ida would land in front of him, who's like just squirming in pain, and he would ask, Midoriya, what have you done? Izuku would then say, I gave you what you wanted, power, so you deal with this. But remember, the moment you go too far, you become worse than the villains you despise. Hearing this, Ida would be, okay, let's go, and barrage Stains with kicks non-stop. Even Stain has to get serious at this point, and he takes out his swords and starts parrying, but he would quickly realize that it was pointless. The kid is so mad that he literally does not care if he gets stabbed or hit now, because Izuku has just confirmed that he will help him. And just as he's thinking that he might lose, his sword shatters, and he would get hit right in the ribs once again. His lungs are actually being punctured by his bones now, meaning that he can't breathe. He would start keeping his distance and jump from wall to wall, and he would see a chance to hit Ida, so he would go punch him. Ida actually couldn't keep up with this speed, so he was about to get hit. Also, he wasn't used to the speed quite yet. But as he was about to get hit, all of a sudden, Stain would see a foot right in his face, and he just gets stumped right on the face. This breaks a few of his teeth and crushes his nose, as he would ricochet around the walls and then land back down. This is of course Izuku using his portal quirk, and he would put his foot through and hit him. I thought it would be funny to add in. Izuku would then say, alright Ida, let's go. As he would say this, he would notice Ida run over to Stain, and he literally starts choking the life out of this man. Seeing this, Izuku would run over to him, super speed, lightning speed, and he would hold his hands behind his back. Ida, don't try to do this. Don't turn into the type of person you hate. It's not worth it. Let me go, Midoriya. He runs around killing heroes because of his twisted sense of justice. I deserve this. Let me kill him. Izuku would then say, Ida, I can help your brother run again. I can heal him. But when I do, I'm sure he wouldn't like it if you became a killer. We're heroes. We have to set boundaries. Ida would then stop resisting, as he would ask Izuku if he was being serious. And he would look at Izuku, who had no joking face. He was straight serious, and he would nod. He then gives up on killing Stain slowly and getting his revenge, and this is when cops would come into the alley and see what's going on. Izuku would then quickly pick up the battered Stain as Ida carries Native and they step out. Here, we caught the hero killer, said Izuku to the police. They would be shocked to hear this, but as they put Stain in quirk dampening cuffs, a Nomu would roar and start rushing at them through the air. The heroes would tell Izuku and Ida to get out of the way, but this is when Ida would take action using his newfound speed, and he would run on the building next to them. Then he would jump off and surprise the Nomu as he drop kicks the creature to the ground. While doing this, he crushed the creature's windpipe, and then he would step on its brain and kills it. The heroes would be amazed by this, as they then recognize him as the kid brother of Ingenium, and they would praise him. Ida himself cannot believe what he just did. He would look toward Izuku, who would then put a thumbs up while supporting him. But as he was doing this, Gran Torino would just drop out of the sky from nowhere and smack him on the head. Ow, what the hell? I told you not to. Wait, did you catch the hero killer? Asked Gran Torino. Izuku would then say, no, we caught the hero killer. He would then point at Ida, who was being surrounded by the heroes and being cheered on, and Gran Torino would be surprised and say, good work. But then he would whisper, but it was mostly all you though, right? Oh yeah, totally, whispers Izuku back, and the two would then laugh as Endeavor appears on the scene once again and sees Izuku. Man, that kid is everywhere. He would then also realize the situation, and it would only actually make him more interested in Izuku, because he can't make Izuku make Todoroki be stronger, although he will in the future. It will happen, but he doesn't know that yet. So he's thinking, maybe I can use this kid for my agenda. What he wants to do, become the strongest. No, that's not gonna happen. No, just stop, nigga, stop. Anyway, however, of course, considering what they did, Ida and Izuku would be helped for questioning, but Izuku, who possessed a temporary hero license, saved them both. They did question where he got this from, but you know, they didn't really have a choice because it was authentic and it was a license nonetheless, whether it was for heroes or you know what I mean. So not only were they actually given credit for taking down Stain this time, but they weren't in trouble and the heroes actually vouched for them, so yeah. Also, Todoroki did get word of this from Endeavor, who came back later because he still went with Endeavor in this timeline, and he was mad that he couldn't help out, but he's happy his friends are okay. Then the two went on their separate ways, and we cut to Izuku's final day at Gran Torino's place. Gran Torino would then say, "Well, goodbye, kid." Izuku would then bow, saying, "Thank you for your guidance," and Gran Torino would tell him, "Well, it was mostly you, so there's no need for that." Izuku would then say, "Oh, before I forget, I have a gift for All Might." He would then put his hand out as Gran Torino would grab it, kind of confused, but then a weird energy would reach inside of his body. Go find All Might, and when you touch his wound, this energy will heal him. Right now it's residing inside of you, waiting to be used, so don't waste it. I stayed up all night making that. Gran Torino would be like so amazed, like, so this is a cure? This will bring All Might back to full strength? This will heal Toshinori. I told you I heal him, says Izuku. Gran Torino would then hug Izuku with the biggest smile on his face. He had never been so happy before, like in his life till this moment. Then Izuku would say, "It's okay, I'm just doing my job." And he would activate his electrokinesis and run away at lightning speed. Now the next day would come as Izuku and Ida were being asked questions about the incident and how they took down Stain. Izuku decided to humor these niggas, and he just told them everything that happened, and that includes talking about his other quirks. "Are you telling us that in total you have more than..." He would start counting his fingers and say, "You have more than 3 quirks?" asked Sero. Izuku would then nod as Bakugo, who had a bowl haircut due to Best Genius, would lose it and his hair would go back to normal. "You fucking nerd, you were lying to me?" Izuku would then say, "No, not really. I showed you my ability to cancel out quirks when we were kids, like kindergarten." Everyone would then say, "You can cancel out quirks?" He would then scratch his head nervously as all of a sudden All Might would enter and say that they have something new to do. Izuku would see this as his way to get out of explaining the topic for now anyway. So they would all be outside the gates of Ground Gamma, and All Might, still working on his teaching skills, didn't really know what to call the lesson, so he just called it Rescue Training Race or something. All Might would then continue talking as he says, "Of course now we can't destroy the place, so keep your destructive attacks to a minimum." He would say this while staring at Bakugo, who would notice, and despite being mad, he says he'll be careful, because he acknowledges it. Then after this, All Might would set up the first group to race, which is Ida, Sero, Mina, Ojiro, and Izuku. I hope I got all that right. Of course, seeing as Izuku by this point is considered a beast and pro-level hero, everyone will be betting on him. However, other than the race, people will be waiting for Izuku to use one of his many quirks. They all have their eyes solely fixated on Izuku and Izuku only. All Might would then notice this and wonder why, but he would forget this as he starts to race, and as soon as he allows them to begin, everyone would rush ahead except for Izuku, who would just stay in a running stance while gathering up energy, and he starts to spark with electricity. "Let's do this." Everyone would be shocked to see that all of a sudden Izuku would blitz past everyone at an incredible speed, and as he got more and more close to the finish line, he would leave behind a trail of green lightning. All Might would be thinking, "So you decided to make another quirk? Amazing." As he says this, Izuku would finish and reach the finish line and appear right behind a shocked All Might. "So, what do you think?" All Might would then just turn around, like legit just amazed, as by his calculations, Izuku just arrived at the finish line in under 3 seconds. And what makes this even more amazing is the fact that he made the race even longer due to Izuku's incredible speed already, but that meant nothing because he just surpassed that too and just made it there anyway. Then he thinks that this kid is a monster, like. Bakugo would then be thinking, this is his other quirk? I think he just moved faster than during the festival. Damn it, while I was messing around, he's been getting ahead of me. Now in the ensuing shock of Izuku's new power, the others were too shocked to continue the race, but they quickly got composed and continued. Ida would rush past everyone at blinding speed and would impress everyone, as Izuku's enhancement was still permanent up to this point, so he goes full power. He would use Reciprocal Burst while running through the obstacles, but due to the output he still could not control, and due to the fact that he wasn't used to running around Ground Gamma in this way, he would slip like Izuku would have in the original, and end up being tied with Mina in the end, just barely. This would make him sad, but everyone would tell him that the amount of speed he can generate now is still amazing, so, you know. However, in the end, Izuku is the first to arrive, so he gets the sash and all the applause, and then everyone else would race. And after all of that is over, his classmates would start crowding him and telling him that now he has to tell them about his quirk. Come on, you can't keep us in suspense, says Uraraka. Bakugo would then say, yeah, Deku, what was that new power? You're not scared that I'll surpass you if I know how it works, right? Izuku hearing this would then smirk as he tells everyone to step back. And after he does this, he would form a ball of lightning in the palm of his hand. And he would tell them that just in case they were thinking this, his quirk isn't super speed, it's electrokinesis. And then he would tell them that he uses the power, he tells them how he uses super speed. And as he says this, he'll make a fist and crush the electric ball, but then he would like open it up to let out butterflies made of electricity, and everyone would think this is amazing because it's like a light show. And then he would ask them if they want to see something else cool, and he would ask Kaminari to touch one of the butterflies. Kaminari would be unsure as he would ask him if he should really do it, but the others would yell like, dude, touch it, it'll be awesome. So he would then reach for the butterflies, but as he would touch them, instead of feeling shocked, he would have the energy just pass right through his body, and it just disperses. He actually doesn't overload or anything, and as a matter of fact, he just feels full of energy. Izuku would then tell him to follow his instructions and keep an image of his favorite weapon while he just forces out lightning. He would be confused just like everyone else because, I mean, it's not a good thing if he forces out his power. It always causes him to go dumb, but he trusts him and forms a katana of his lightning, and he would be shocked just like everyone else. He would ask him what he did, as Izuku would explain that he made the butterflies while keeping an image of like stable energy. So he made it so even if you don't have a lightning quirk, if you touch it, you won't be electrocuted. But since he has a problem controlling his output, he wanted to help him with that. Do you mean you just helped him stabilize his energy output? Asked Momo. Izuku would then nod as everyone would be speechless because, I mean, the man has so much amazing control. It's hard to believe that he could balance all his powers and get them to full strength like that and still be really good with either one of them. Izuku would then say that of course this isn't permanent because if he doesn't stay focused, he would lose the weapon, and as he says this, Kaminari would actually lose concentration and the weapon of electricity would disappear. He would say that happens, but if you keep training, maybe you could learn to naturally do this without my help. Kaminari would then say that he definitely wants this, and they would shake on it. This amazing display of power would catch the attention of Todoroki and Bakugo definitely, but they're amazed for completely different reasons. Because Bakugo wants to beat him up, and Todoroki just wants to see if he can help him because at this point Izuku and Todoroki are on good points. Like they're pretty good, you know, with each other. Anyway, we're gonna time skip to when they're all at lunch, and Izuku would tell him about what else he could do. And then after lunch, Aizawa would mention them going to the summer break forest lodge, and they would all get excited. But Aizawa would then, you know, bring the bad news, which is that if they fall short on the test at the, because it is the that end of term test, they will not go to the forest lodge. They will be discouraged yet motivated to work harder, so it's okay. So time would pass and things would progress nicely until June, and everyone realized that with everything that they had to do, they didn't really have enough time to study everything and study enough. Most of them would be kind of freaking out until Momo would speak up and suggest that she could help everyone even though, she didn't get the first place, she could still help them out. Wait a second, if you didn't get first, then who got first? Asked Mina. Momo would then point at Izuku, who like usual would be sleeping, and Mina would say that Izuku can just do everything, can't he? And hearing this would sadden Momo because she tried really hard, but this is when Ida would suggest something else. He suggests that they go to Izuku's house and bring Momo with them. He also suggested this because he wants Izuku to teach him how to control this new power more efficiently. Oh, by the way, during the time that they took to study and everything, Izuku healed Tensei, so yeah, in case you're wondering. So Ida is actually much happier now, and he knows that Izuku healed his brother, so this makes him kind of interested in Izuku and his power. He wants to know what is the source of it, but I mean, he's not gonna find that out. Of course, after hearing this, everyone would agree, and Uraraka would wake up Izuku to tell him the news and that they want to, train together, blah blah blah. Izuku would say that he can let them come over, but Momo definitely has to come because she's much better at teaching academics than him. So he'll just be there to answer questions that they might not know and, give them some drinks, they're hanging out. And hearing this would brighten up Momo, and they would definitely agree to join. Then they would all share happily as they soon go to lunch. And at the table, Izuku, Ida, and Uraraka, and Mei, and Kirishima, and Kaminari would be sitting there. And Izuku just thinks that at this point, this table was getting a little crowded. And then he would switch the subject and say that, if they want to know what they're going to do on the test. Wait, you know what we're going to be doing? Asked Kaminari. Izuku would then say, yep, apparently we're going to be fighting heroes. Hearing this, they would be in complete shock and terrified, as Izuku would ask, what's wrong? We're not fighting villains. It's not like they're going to kill us. Ida would then say, true, but how can you be so calm after disclosing that type of information? Because I plan to win against whoever I fight, responds Izuku. He would say this with such confidence that the others would actually also feel confident. Now, as they finish lunch and go back to class, after class ends, they would all be getting ready to leave when Kaminari and Kirishima would be telling everyone what Izuku told them at the lunch table. And hearing this news, Todoroki would stand up a bit aggressively and say, Midoriya, are you sure about this? Izuku would then stand up while getting ready to leave as well, and he would say, yeah, pretty sure. I may or may not have spied on them by hacking into the school cameras, so I heard what the teachers were saying. Yeah, let's keep that secret, okay? Everyone would be amazed that he can actually hack, and they would wonder if he will get in trouble for doing so. And Izuku would say, that's why I don't want you to tell anyone. And then he would go to meet Mei so they can do extra work and they spend more time together. And then he invites her to his house for the first time after they're done with class, because like I said, Izuku has extra classes because he's not only in class 1A, he's with in Mei's class for like engineering and stuff. So they would say goodbye to Power Loader and then go to Izuku's house. The two would be near the forest and at his doorstep as Mei would ask, so this is where you live? Wow, you really don't like people. Hey, that's rude, I'm not that antisocial, says Izuku. He would then open the door and they enter as Izuku would yell for Inko so he could introduce his friend. And as soon as he asks for Inko to come, she comes and arrives while flying. Wow, Mom, you're really getting used to this. Inko would then land safely saying, yep, this time I didn't hit the ceiling. Who's your new friend? Izuku would then introduce Mei, but as soon as he does, he hears a knock at the door and he excuses himself to go answer it. When he opens the door, he would see his classmates and he would say, hey guys, come inside. Mina, Kaminari, Kirishima, Ojiro, Sero, Jiro, and Mina as well as Momo would enter his house. Dude, this place is huge, yells Sero. Izuku would then thank him as Kaminari would say, I feel like I shouldn't have to ask this, but aren't you kind of rich? Izuku would then scratch his head nervously while saying sort of, and as he would say this, Inko would allow them into the living room so they could hang out. However, as everyone goes to the living room, Mei would stand in front of Izuku just staring at him. What's wrong? Asked Izuku. Mei would then just turn around and say nothing as she pouts and joins the others. What the hell was that about? Are we really doing this again? Thinks Izuku. Days would then pass as all the students would study and take Izuku's words to heart about them facing the teacher. So during this little time skip, those like Kaminari, Kirishima, and of course Uraraka and Ida would train with Izuku. So when the day finally came for the test to go to the forest lodge, all the students were gathered up in their hero costumes and there would stand their teachers in front of them. They would start to wonder if what Izuku said was true and if they really would be fighting their teachers. Nezu would then come out of his scarf and say that they indeed would be, confirming that they would be fighting heroes. And they would be kind of shaking on their boots, but they're also kind of excited. This is the reason why they're fighting their teachers is because the villains have been attacking more and more lately, so they want to make their students stronger. So the teachers would tell the students which pair of them will be fighting what teacher, and then soon the only pair that would be left would be Bakugo and Izuku. All Might would then jump out of the sky and just land as they're wondering who they will be fighting and say, oh, I'm sorry I'm late. I'm gonna be your opponent, Wonder Duo. They would then turn around to see All Might and this really shocks them. Bakugo, but Izuku is completely indifferent. He doesn't give a damn. He can cancel his quirk whenever he wants. He just wants to fight him head on. And then the other students would be taken to a different place for their fights. And things would go a bit different for Kaminari and Ida and Uraraka, because using their power-ups and teamwork to their advantage, they would completely destroy the teachers. Especially Uraraka, because I made her a little too OP, but I don't care. If you give someone like Uraraka the power over gravity, if you also if you downed their power and like made them weak, I would be mad at you because Uraraka can also be OP, okay? Stop hating on Uraraka. People always be hating on Uraraka, saying she's like an inferior person to ship with Izuku. And I call that bullshit, alright? Okay. Anyway, yeah, they would be fine. Except for Kaminari, actually. He would still lose because he can't do long range attacks yet. And he loses. But this time he doesn't go stupid. But you can't really blame me when he's going up against this. So yeah. Alright, move on. We'll come back to the other. Actually, we won't come back to the other fights, but the other fights would pass, and then we're gonna go to Izuku and Bakugo versus All Might. All the students would feel bad for them, not because like they are weak or anything, but they don't know how to work together. And Bakugo obviously hates Izuku, and that might ruin their chances. Except also for the fact that All Might is the strongest hero. Also, this time, Nezu told All Might not to put on the weighted bracelets because it will only impede him in trying to beat Izuku specifically. So, Izuku and Bakugo would enter the area and Izuku would start talking. So how should we do this? Long range attacks or up front end? Bakugo would then cut him off. Shut up, Deku. I'll die before I ever listen to you. Izuku would then sigh as he activates his mapping skill and sees All Might headed for them. Alright, get on guard, he's coming for us. As he would say this, All Might would appear in front of a surprised Bakugo as he smacks him to the side. This sends Bakugo into a building as All Might approaches Izuku quite menacingly, but then he kind of just gets chill and says, "Thank you, young Midoriya." Izuku would then appear in front of him with the punch that All Might catches and says, "So, I assume your injury is gone, huh?" "Yep," says All Might. He would then try to uppercut Izuku in the stomach, but as soon as he does, he gets shocked and falls to his knees. Like, a lot of volts went through his body, enough to make him, All Might, fall to the ground. Izuku would then fall as he roundhouses and kicks him in the face and sends him back. "You're welcome." As he says this, All Might smiles, and basically that was them having a conversation while fighting. And Bakugo comes out of the building full of anger as he launches massive explosions at All Might, who immediately jumps up and kicks the air as he just slams his back into Bakugo. But as he makes impact, he saw himself being sent flying into the air. Everyone was amazed at what they just saw. Izuku moved so fast that he had enough time to stop All Might from hitting Bakugo, hit him away, like throw him away, and then threw Bakugo in his direction. They barely could make out what happened, but they could kind of tell what he did. So, before he noticed, All Might was hit in the stomach by one of Bakugo's massive explosions. Of course, they were both kind of disoriented, but Bakugo is used to fighting. He has that instinct, so he instantly got caught up what was happening and attacked All Might. Of course, like I have mentioned by now, All Might has already been healed because of what Izuku gave to Gran Torino. So during the time the students were training and stuff, Gran Torino went to meet with All Might and then healed him. So he tanked the blow and kicked Bakugo right back into the ground, but Izuku manages to catch him in time, making the ground beneath him crumble as it causes a huge crater to appear. This would make a huge dust cloud that would cover the damage, but as All Might lands, it makes the dust clear due to his wind pressure. This is due to the pressure he creates, like the wind pressure he creates whenever he rides anywhere. And he would say, "That was good strategy, young Midoriya, but you should make a plan if you plan to take me down." It was kind of be funny. All Might does that sometimes. The dust would then clear to show Bakugo telling Deku to put him down, as Izuku would do this, and then he would tell Bakugo that he has a way of beating All Might. Bakugo would then say, "I told you, I'm not." Before he can even finish his sentence, Izuku would just death stare him and say, "I don't have time for your bullshit, Bakugo. I could easily beat All Might if I wanted to right now, but I'm choosing not to work with you. I could just leave you behind, but you know what? I stayed to work with you." Hearing this, his classmates watching would be wondering what the hell he's on about, and they think that maybe they misheard because no one can beat All Might, not even Izuku. Well, Izuku isn't just anyone, thinks Aizawa. Now back to the fight, All Might and Bakugo would be in complete disbelief of what he said, but Izuku doesn't care if they believe him. Izuku would then say, "The point is, if you don't stop being petty, I will literally knock you out and do everything. I'm done dealing with you, so work with me or you're out. Cold." Bakugo would then begrudgingly agree to work with him, and this is when Izuku got serious. He would start to spark with electricity again, and this just spreads to everywhere in his body. He would then touch Bakugo on the shoulder, and in doing this, he would pass on his speed abilities. Everyone would be seeing this and wonder what he just did, as Izuku would say that he gave him a bit of a super speed, but only for around 5 minutes because he hasn't done this before. but it's just enough time so they'll be moving at super speed. Then he would say, come on, now run. He would then run as Bakugo follows him, and he realizes that he really is moving at super speed. It was like the most amazing feeling. He felt lightning coursing through his veins. It was unnatural. Both him and Izuku would blitz All Might as they actually start hurting him. And All Might only sees blurs and trails of lightning, nothing else. He doesn't even see their faces and bodies, he just sees lightning and stuff. He would get hit all over because multiplied by like the amount of strength that they both already have, combined with the super speed, that just gives more power, which makes their blows even more disastrous. While all this was happening, Bakugo would be thinking, so this is what he sees when he's moving this fast? All Might looks like he's moving in slow motion. As he says this, he would step back and actually start gathering a huge amount of energy in his grenade while Izuku kept like fighting and fighting. It would start to glow as Izuku would finish with All Might and then kick him away. Then he would get an idea. He would run next to Bakugo and ask him to shoot him. Bakugo would be confused as he legit calls Izuku an idiot, asking him why the hell he would do that. Izuku would then say, because I'm about to use my other quirk. Hearing this would shock the students once again, as Momo would say that they finally get to see something else other than super speed. Not that it wasn't amazing. And Todoroki would think, just how much power do you have, Midoriya? Now back at the fight, Bakugo would agree to fire at him, and Izuku jumps back a bit. As Bakugo releases the pin on his grenade, it sends a huge explosion at Izuku, who is just thinking that, I hope you know what you're doing, Deku. But as the attack would reach him, Izuku would put his hand up and the explosion would just start being consumed by an invisible portal. As this would happen, All Might would stand up pretty bruised from the beating he took from Izuku and Bakugo when he just gets hit in the face and blinded by the attack that was supposed to hit Izuku. Everyone's jaws would just drop as Bakugo would just say, what the? That's the quirk? Izuku would then say they don't have time to marvel at his amazing power, and they super speed past the gate and past their test. All Might, like I said, during the time that the students were dying, met Gran Torino and was healed, so this didn't hurt him, but it covered his view. Not that, Izuku like didn't hurt him, but Bakugo explosion like still don't hurt him as much as Izuku's punches do. And All Might would be thinking, man, that kid has some crazy tricks up his sleeve. As he says this, he would instantly appear by the two because, the man is back to full power. He doesn't have to leave early because he's not out of energy. He doesn't have to go back to Small Might form. And he would say, good job, young Bakugo, young Midoriya. You passed. And once again, young Midoriya, thank you. He would legit bow to Izuku. He did not expect this at all, and he would leap away. Izuku then touches Bakugo's shoulder as he just starts reabsorbing the power he gave him. As Izuku would be doing this, Bakugo would ask, why the hell is All Might of all people thinking you? Izuku would then finish taking back the power as he says, because I saved his life. Later, loudmouth. He would then super speed away and instantly arrive in the watch room. And when he gets back, of course, he has to explain his new quirk since his classmates wouldn't stop asking him about it, and he would. As Izuku would be explaining how he used the quirk, Bakugo would arrive, trying to keep up with Izuku and try to get there as fast as he could because now he's trying to beat him and everything and say, damn nerd, I hate him. But that power, it was so awesome. Is that how slow I look to him when I try to attack? Damn it, I'm gonna have to get even stronger. As this would be happening, Shigaraki would be at the hideout with new recruits. Toga and Dabi would introduce themselves, and due to Dabi's attitude, because he just likes fighting people, and because they're all psychopaths, they would start to attack each other, but instead of Kurogiri stopping it, the man, All For One himself, steps down and stops them, because if you don't remember, I actually killed Kurogiri because 13 absorbed Kurogiri into her portal, her black hole. Anyway, All For One would say, so, these are the new villains. Word of advice, Dabi was it? Stop getting so ahead of yourself. He would then exude a pressure so strong that they literally all cannot breathe, and then he would stop doing this and ask Shigaraki if he has any intel on Izuku Midoriya. Shigaraki would then plot a photo of him at the festival and say that he's got nothing because it's like this kid is off limits. By the way, if anyone tries to hack anything about Izuku that he does not want people to know, he permanently deleted all stuff like that. He hacked into records, so if you ever wanted to find out about his new power and you're a bad guy, you won't find anything. I did say he was a genius at programming and stuff like that. His computers are his expertise. All For One would then say, I guess we move on with the new plan. He would then walk away as we cut to the next day, and everyone was freaking out because the majority of them failed, so they were really scared. But they would be interrupted by the bell, and Aizawa enters. Everyone then sits up and greets him properly, and then they sit down. And for once, Izuku doesn't look tired. And as a matter of fact, he looks full of energy. Aizawa would then say, "Good morning, and about your tests. As you know, many of you have failed, but you will all be going to the Forest Lodge anyway." They would then all be shocked to hear this, as Izuku would say, "Guys, by this point you should know it was all a logical ruse. He always does this." Then they would remember the first thing that Aizawa made them do by tricking them, and they would be once again mad but relieved because at least they're going to the Forest Lodge. So they would all get filled in on what they're going to be doing at the lodge. It's essentially a 1 week boot camp, so they will be staying there for a while. And for this specific purpose, a few students would decide to go to the mall so they can get a few clothes. And Izuku invites Mei to come because since last time I made them like meet up, they were actually pretty distant. And by they, I meant like Mei kept distancing herself from Izuku. So he wants to ask her why she's been so mad at him. So when they arrive, Izuku suggests that they stay on guard because the villains will be attacking them a lot. So they would split up and stay in big groups. And the majority of the group would just be Izuku with Uraraka and Mei because he's like the strongest, so they know he can protect himself. And the rest of the others would just stay in a big group and shop. As Mei and Uraraka would accompany Izuku, they would be walking around when he feels a bit awkward, but then he would pop a question. "So, Mei, I wanted to ask you, why haven't you answered my calls? I wanted to get your ideas for something new I want to make." Mei would then look at him. "Oh, so you only call me when you want to build something?" Izuku would then say, "No, we can just hang out, but I asked you once if you wanted to hang out for no reason, and you said you didn't care about stuff like that because it didn't involve your babies." Hearing this, she would blush as she would agree that she did say that, and Uraraka would decide that, you know what, maybe I should just give y'all a little time because she knows they're good friends and she wants them to reconcile. So Izuku and Mei would walk around the mall and she would explain why she feels mad at him or whatever. She says that she feels mad that whenever they're going to hang out, he invites people and like they join them, and she kind of gets really sad. And he would say, "Oh, sorry, I thought you were fine with that." Mei would then say, "No, it's my fault. I never spoke about it. It's all on me. Forgive me?" He would then of course forgive Mei and they share a hug. When all of a sudden Izuku would notice something interesting. Mind giving me a sec? I gotta check something out. Go meet with Uraraka and stay safe." He would then start running away while heading for a man in a hoodie as he would yell, "Tomura Shigaraki." As he yells this, Shigaraki would turn around to see him and realize that they're no longer at the mall. "What the? You annoying kid, what did you do? Where are we?" Izuku would then say, "I like to call this my domain. I just made this quirk recently for reasons like these. I call it domain expansion. Anyway, enough about me, let's kill you." Shigaraki would then start to disintegrate as he would just be yelling, "What are you doing to me? I thought you heroes didn't kill or whatever." As soon as he hear this, he would snap his fingers and Shigaraki would stop disintegrating and be fully formed once again. And he would be breathing heavily and having like a bit of a psychotic break because he thought he could erase people. This kid legit erased them without even doing anything. He would then be pulled towards Izuku as Izuku would say, "You know what? You're not wrong. Besides, they dad don't carry any burdens, guilt, or fear. And honestly, leaving you alive is possibly the worst thing I could do to you. You know why?" He would then let him fall, and Shigaraki's back in control of his own body. So he instantly takes this chance to grab Izuku's face with all his fingers. "Ha! You were so arrogant. Now you're gonna die. What you did last time won't work this time." Wait, why aren't you dying? You were pulling the trick last time, right? There's no way my quirk doesn't work on you. What are you doing to me? Izuku would then throw a massive right uppercut into his stomach, saying, "Why? Because your quirk doesn't work here. This is my domain. How dumb do you think I am? Actually, just in case, I should make my skin impervious to that." Instantly, his body shines, and just like that, your quirk doesn't affect me anymore. Shigaraki would then get away from him, saying, "You're a monster. What are you? What do you mean just made this quirk? What are you talking about?" Izuku would then say, "Oh, I'm the monster, says the one who tried to murder kids just to get to one man. Anyway, like I was going to say, you won't need to die, because honestly, from this day on, I plan to make the very earth you walk on, every moment of your living existence, your own personal hell. Shigaraki would then start screaming out of fear as he is back in the normal world and he just runs away. And people would be confused looking at him and they would be like, this guy's just crazy, let's ignore this, we don't need this today. And in case you're asking, Izuku brought them to a place where time is paused and he can control everything. And yes, I did get this from Jujutsu Kaisen. So technically they didn't move at all. They were standing where they were standing and they never went anywhere. And that's what makes it even freaking scarier. Also, like, there was no black ball covering them like in Jujutsu Kaisen. It was just like, it's a weird thing that I made up. Also, he was never going to kill Shigaraki. He just wanted to scare him a little bit. He was going to stop him from disintegrating, whether or not he said that heroes don't kill and the moral code and all that. So, yeah. Izuku is getting a little dark because he's starting to just get mad at these villains. He doesn't give a damn anymore. But it'll be a little sooner when he falls a little bit more into insanity. So, Izuku would then kind of laugh as Mei as well as everyone would run in the direction of the screaming, and there they would find Izuku. Midoriya, what happened here? Are villains attacking? Asked Ida. Izuku would then say, no, it's just a guy who's having a bad day, I guess. It's no big deal, let's go back to shopping, guys. He would then go to leave with everyone, but then he'd see Mei and have a change of mind. He would grab her hand saying that, they should go together. And while they're walking away, Kirishima would ask, there's definitely something between those two, right? Everyone would then say that it's so obvious that it's hilarious, but Uraraka for some reason finds herself unable to accept that fact. Now Izuku and Mei would be shopping while Shigaraki would tell his master what he just witnessed and what he just felt, what he just went through, literally a near-death experience. And after they shopped, secretly Izuku would tell Aizawa what happened, and this info would be given to Nezu, who gives this info to the police. So due to this, when the students come back to school, they're told that their destination would be kind of changed due to some issues, but things are going to be fine, and they have to just tell their parents some stuff. Then they would go to lunch, but while leaving to go to lunch, Izuku would see Shinso walking with Aizawa. He would then wave to him as Shinso waves back. Now we're going to time skip to when summer finally comes. The kids from Class 1A and Class 1B would be around their buses with their clothes packed as they would start heading for the camp. Kirishima would then say that he just read on the internet that the crime rate has been dropping a lot more lately, and All Might seems stronger than he has been in the past few years. Everyone would get on their phones and start searching up things while Izuku just sleeps, and Aizawa wanted to stop them, but he knew what Izuku did, and he knew the reason why the #1 hero is back to full strength is because of his power. So he let them cause a ruckus. I mean, this is a big deal. All Might is back, so things are going to be much easier now. He doesn't mind, and the same goes for the Class 1A bus. They're also just as excited about All Might. Even the driver didn't mind, so he just